All right. Welcome everyone for today's webinar. Today we are going to be talking about how to elevate your workspace, workplace technologies using nVX for your modern voice and customer service. A lot of you out there may not know about nVX. nVX is Netrix's own proprietary cloud phone systems that is very unique and fits in very specific use cases for clients who may not be a Microsoft shop or have aging systems with a lot of customization. So it really has a ton of flexibility and integration options, as well as it ties in with some of the popular products out there already, such as Microsoft Teams. So really excited to get into it today. So without further delay, let's get started. The agenda we have today is we'll do a quick intro, talk about how the voice has really evolved in last few decades. Then we're gonna do introduction to NVX, showcase what it is, how it works, and the building blocks of NVX at a higher level. Then we are gonna switch gear and talk about NVX Contact Center, which is really, really cool. So I'm really looking forward to that topic. Then I have a case study to go over real quick. And then we're just going to go ahead and wrap this up with some key takeaways for you all today. So with that quick intro, myself, I am Satyendra Sharma. I am one of the field CTOs here at Netrix, focused on digital workplace, which includes all of the voice, UCaaS, CCaaS, and conference room meeting spaces technologies. I've been with the company for over 8 years now, and I am based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I live with my family. So that is all about me. There is a link to my LinkedIn, so if we aren't connected, please be sure to send me a connect request. All right, so let's talk about some evolution of voice. I think it's just important to understand how voice communications is where it is today, right? It hasn't evolved overnight. It has some steady progression. So I always take a time to kind of do a quick recap, which is what this next section is going to get into. So here we are. Starting early on in the 70s and 80s, right, it was all about analogs. It was all about copper lines, manual entry PBXs, switchboards, just a just a very, very heavy operational overhead to run a phone system. And at the time, we only had desk phones, right? So the common notion is if you weren't at your desk, you are simply unreachable, right? So adding features meant adding a lot more environment or hardware on site. That came obviously with management overhead, upkeep, license, power, cooling, all that, and carrier connectivity, not to forget. Then we switched into 90s. I mean, this is where we started to see some of the digital PBX side of evolution. And we started to see some carrier connectivity like T1s, PRIs, improved reliability with carrier connections. But voice was still primarily hardware centric. It still needed a lot of hardware equipment on site. And just the overhead of managing the environment. The systems were expensive, complex, very slow to change, very rarely there were new features or significant updates done to them. And more importantly, it wasn't scalable. The capacity planning was always a guesswork, right? Like we were just ballparking all the time. There was no real calculation about capacity planning. Then we are in early and mid 2000s. This is where we started to see introductions of IP telephony. The voice started moving from their dedicated network onto the data network now. So the blend started to happen. Soft phones started to appear. flexibility came into the picture where people are able to use different endpoints to make the business calling. But along with all this, as we are combining network between voice and data and all these additional client interfaces for people to use, it also is increased the complexity of how these systems are built, deployed, and managed. Many organizations still actually ran hybrid environment where they would have some sort of um, a hosted or a cloud-based telephony, but they were not completely sold on it. So they still kept a fair amount of on-premises environment to run their voice architecture. Then we have 2010s, and today, really, this is the real inflection point, right? So this is where voice now became more of a software-driven approach. It's no longer tied to building desks, single device. Users want flexibility. They want to be able to take business calls from anywhere on any desk. If you are traveling, they want to be connected, and features are continuously evolving without any hardware upgrades, which is a big deal, right? So no need to go and rip and replace hardware to add a new capability. Now with cloud-based delivery, features are just brought to you as they become available. The other point is it's very scalable now, right? Like we don't have to deploy a certain horsepower system to accommodate your need. What if tomorrow you have 100 more users? Then you have to scale up and scale down. With the cloud-based delivery, all that infrastructure, capacity planning just goes out the door, right? No longer you need to kind of worry about it. So just to kind of like quick recap, so hopefully this was helpful. I always like to kind of take a look back from where we came from, just to add some extra context to it. So with this cloud-based platforms that we have right now, this is what sets up us with Netrix nVX, which is a cloud-based phone platform built for mobility, built for user flexibility, built to scale rapidly, and to support the modern call flows and workflows that people are demanding in today's day and age. So with that, let's meet nVX. Like I said earlier, most of you may not know what nVX is, but just a quick overview, nVX is a Netrix's own IP platform. It is a cloud-based phone system. I actually have an architecture diagram here. Let's kind of flip to that. Here we go. All right. So like I said, nVX is Netrix's IP platform. It is 100% cloud native, so there is no on-premises gears to be deployed for clients who use nVX as their phone system. It follows this standard SIP architecture, which makes it highly flexible, and interoperability is very high with nVX. It does support plethora of SIP devices, right? Making it very vendor agnostic when it comes to devices or any other integration points. It has full redundancy and failover, so it's not just a standalone solution, because obviously that's not going to work for a lot of clients and ourselves as a provider. So it has a multi-data center architecture with redundant components within each data center for local failover and redundancy, as well as geo redundancy. So we do offer a uptime commitment on it, SLAs backed, 24/7 managed and maintained by our Netrix-based badged employees. So it is highly redundant in that regard. And it's secured. So obviously with voice communications, security is primary for us to make sure the signaling, the media, all those things are encrypted and securely transmitted between the clients, as well as between our nVX cloud and the client premises. And the redundancy goes far beyond than just the platform itself. We have redundancy in terms of internet ISP connectivity. We have multiple tier one PSTN carrier that provide telephony connection into nVX, um, and it adds extra layer of protection, right, for our clients. So nVX is accessed over the internet, so making it cloud native, right? So as long as you have access to internet, you have access to your phone systems, along with many apps in today's model, right? And when you connect to nVX, we have multiple carriers feeding telephony connection into nVX. And what I mean by that is, as we are migrating clients, we can port number from their current carrier to our carrier, as well as the second last point here, we also support bring your own carrier. So if you are a company who is locked into their current contract, or maybe you have a amazing deal from your current carrier, we can respect that. We understand the investment, so we don't want you to lose that. We can bring your carrier into nVX as a PSTN connectivity for your organization, and that becomes your inbound outbound PSTN channel for your tenant. Um, it is very flexible, and what I mean by that is, oftentimes we go into a situation where it's not a clean migration. We cannot migrate everybody over from whatever systems they have overnight. One of the beautiful thing about nVX is we can do interoperability with your on-premises or cloud or whatever existing solution. We can do SIP trunking between nVX to whatever platform you have, and we can gradually move users over, making it very, very seamless and less disruptive with this change. Um, it also allows integration support with many third-party tools. So oftentimes when we go into voice discussions, you may have a unique analog systems, paging systems, intercom systems, um, doorbell, night bell, all kinds of systems, right? So we can interact with all of that, and that's the nice thing about nVX is we don't want our clients to go and find 4 different vendors to accommodate all these other corner cases that they may have, right? So we are able to accommodate a lot of that natively in nVX. Um, and I also have a couple of slides coming up that talks about some of the features that it comes with, but these are just some of the topology highlights I wanted to talk about. And the last point here is custom development. That is also an option. So we have worked with many clients where they bring a unique use cases, or maybe they want a custom dashboard, maybe they want a customized self-service portal with certain toggles and switches to meet their business need. We can do that. And because this is our own platform, we can do customization. We have a um, huge product team behind this nVX platform. They intake the request of development cycle. It goes through some conversations, scoping and such, and then we are able to deliver that to the client, which is again, something that a lot of vendors out there will not offer because they are not going to customize their product to meet a client's requirement. So making us really unique again with that aspect. So what does nVX look like? This is a quick screenshot of on the left over here is we have a desktop client, which is a WebRTC based client. So we don't have to install a thick client on the PCs and laptops, and then do update management, things like that. It's a WebRTC based client, so it's always up to date. No need to push any kind of software packages to your endpoints. It's got several buttons on the left rail here, going through status, your call tabs, your call history. It also supports SMS natively, which we'll talk about a little bit more. It's got active call monitors. So if you have given the permission to the users, they can monitor active calls in the organization, which is typically a add-on permissions that we have to give to the users. You have your own personal call detail records here, easily accessible. Device settings, if you have multiple headsets, mics connected into your PCs, you can quickly switch devices. Um, you have analytics tab, which is advanced call reporting. again, an admin feature governed by permissions. So we can pick and choose what user need, what capability, and we can assign those roles to them. Very flexible. There is no limit for how many admins you can have in the environment. Um, and then each client essentially gets their own tenant, right? So it's a self-managed. It's not like you always have to come to us for any kind of configuration or management. You have your own access to your tenant. You can do changes if you like. However, the Netrix 24/7 support comes with the platform. So you can always open a service request, you can always open up an incident request depending on what your need is, and a support personnel will get in touch with you very quickly actually. And as we onboard clients, there is obviously SLAs, term commitments, things like that. So rest assured it comes with round the clock support globally. The last thing here on the WebRTC client is the endpoint selector. So we can select what endpoint you want to use, and what that really means is, do you want to use the WebRTC for signaling media both? You just use your headsets, or if you want to offload your media, let's say you have a desk phone sitting on your desk, you want to use the desk phone for the audio portion of it, so I can easily select my desk phone as my endpoint. I can also select external phone number if I wish to answer it to a different phone line, right? So it's very flexible in terms of what endpoint you want to use to navigate to your phone system. On the right over here is a screenshot of the mobile application. So it does come with mobile app for Android and iOS platforms. It's a similar layout, just the form factor is different with the real estate we have to work with, but it basically gives you all those capabilities pretty much that you see in the full desktop WebRTC client. And lastly, it does support a variety of SIP devices. So there's lots of SIP devices. I mean, if we were to put the list here, it'll be pretty long, but all the mainstream provider, we have Yealink, we have Poly, we have Audio Codes, we've got all these key players, all their SIP model works with nVX, no issues at all. And the platform also comes with 911, the dynamic 911, right? Of course, one of the main thing is to make sure we have coverage for 911 calling, location-based calling. So regardless if the user is connecting from corporate network, home network, public network, we are able to provide location information for them. We also have zone-based 911 for fixed phones, for common area type phones. So we can do combination of both, right? Like your users are covered in the dynamic 911, your stationary phones are covered in the zone 911, giving you that full coverage of 911 service along with notifications. So every time a call is made, we can notify certain people in the organization that somebody initiated a 911 call. This is the date timestamp as well as who the caller was, right? So we got notifications built into the platform as well. Okay, so just to call out a couple of differentiators, right? Like why does nVX, how does it differs? Like I said, it's got WebRTC based soft phone client, always up to date, no need to do any patch management. It's got mobile apps for Android and iOS for seamless usage. Work from anywhere, really. You take your phone number anywhere you need. IP endpoint, plug and play support for all major SIP desk phones. So if you have the need for desk phone utilization, you are covered. Advanced IVR, it's got a ton of customization in terms of call routing, your custom music, your branded music, your business hours, after business hours treatment, on-call rotation, you name it, we can cover the advanced IVR. And there is SMS, MMS support as well. So on your business line, we can enable SMS and MMS capability. You can do text messages, you can do multimedia messages inside the nVX client, keeping all your business conversation in one place. So no longer users have to mix their personal phone numbers with business communication. Also something clients have been asking for. And one thing about SMS, it is also archivable. So if you are an organization where we want to, maybe you treat SMS as electronic communication and it has to be logged and, captured, we can do a archiving of the SMS and work with your compliance repository to make sure everything gets pushed into a centralized e-discovery type tool. Dynamic 911 we just talked about. Call recording is also built into the platform. So there are various levels of call recording we can provide. We can do enforced call recording where the users who have this capability will get call recorded automatically without their intervention. We can do ad hoc call recording where the users have control on starting and pausing and resuming call recording, giving them that extra layer of control on what to record and things like that. CRM, ITSM integrations. We have integrations with all the top CRMs, ITSM tools out there: ServiceNow, Salesforce, HubSpot, Zendesk, you name it. And I have more coming up when we talk about the contact center side of things. Quality management, advanced reporting, directory and presence. These are all key features that people are looking for. Quality management more so on the contact center side, and that we'll talk about in a few slides coming up here. Advanced reporting is also required by a bunch of our clients where they want a long-term visibility into call history, right? So those things come with the platform, and you can actually schedule most of this reporting to be automatically delivered to your inbox. So you don't even have to go look for those reportings. IDP integration. So we integrate with a lot of identity providers, single sign-on. If you have Entra, you have Okta, MFA, what have you, we can pair with them to give your users the single identity that they already use for corporate communications to log into the nVX platform. So just some differentiators to call out. There is more. The next slide goes over some high level features. Some of this we just covered already, but let me see if I can pick a couple of call transfers, console transfer, blind transfers. Call escalation is pretty commonly used. Call forward, simultaneous ring. It also does follow me, so you can create like a call group. Anytime you get a call, a group of people are called, and you can sequence them too. So if I don't answer my call John after 10 seconds. If John doesn't answer for 10 seconds, call somebody else, Derek. So you can do a sequential follow me, find me type configuration as well, and conditional forwarding too. So we can have forwarding, blind forwarding that forwards calls everything to your the destination number, or you can forward the call based on if you are not logged in or if you are on busy status, things like that. So giving the users more control for some of this call redirection. We got voicemail and email with transcription, missed call notifications. Call delegation is a good one. So if you have boss admin type situation, we can accommodate a lot of the shared line appearance, call on behalf type capabilities. So the executive assistant can initiate an outbound call as the manager and then do a call transfers and connect the calls. Extension dialing is also supported in nVX. So if you are a company where you don't have a DID for every users, that's not a problem. We can do extension dialing internally so people can still call each other and be able to make outbound PSTN call, and we can mask those calls with your main company number as the call leaves the organization. Likewise for inbound call, People can call into the main line and do a dial by name, dial by extension type capability to reach to a specific person in the company. So really important for companies who may not have DIDs for everyone, or maybe they want to reduce some of their DID footprint. SMS support, I just talked about. Oh, the shared and broadcast messaging is pretty good one. So with SMS, we can also do shared messaging. So think of it like a department level SMS number. And the example I always use is IT help desk. So if you have an IT help desk department where people can call in to report a ticket or email reported a ticket, now you can also have a help desk phone number that people can text, and it will it's almost work like a distribution list. So if you have 5 people behind that shared number, whoever is available can respond out back to the user as the IT help desk identity, right? So really another avenue of communication for users just to be able to text and get the help they need. And the broadcast messaging is one-to-many messaging. We have clients that are doing outreach. We have schools, for example, they're sending broadcast messaging to parents where schools are closed or some upcoming inclement weather, things like that. So we can do broadcast messaging as well. So those are just some of the features I wanted to highlight. There is a lot more. So, you know, those are definitely more of a focused conversations as we get into the discussions with client, but wanted to give a quick picture of some of the key features that comes with nVX. So, who is this nVX for? Questions that we get because there are so many tools out there. Um, and keep in mind, we are still talking about nVX UC, right? So there is 2 sections of it, UC and contact center. The next section is on contact center. So, and we can do mix and match both, which we will talk about in the case study. So the nVX is the best fit for companies who are more of a, in retail, manufacturing, a warehouse, um, where you may not need, let's say, like the full Microsoft stack or Zoom or whatnot, right? Like those guys are offering too many features, and all you need is like a standard phone system that is secure, that is highly available, things like that. So a retail, a manufacturing warehouse where you have phones everywhere, you can do paging, you can do call group, you can do inbound, outbound calling. All those features are perfect for nVX. And nVX also integrates with Microsoft Teams. So that's the case study we're going to talk about. So it can do both, right? You can have some other platform for your corporate users and have nVX for the rest of the population, and it will interoperate. So we can do interoperability for them. Non-Microsoft 365 shops. So if you are a company where you may not want to put your voice into the Microsoft ecosystem or just keep it separate, right? There are clients who want to keep their voice environment outside of, not have that interdependency. Maybe, people don't want to put all eggs in one basket, or they don't want to incur that additional licensing cost, things like that. nVX can do all of that with the soft phone, mobile app, desk phone, all this workload. It can be a full-blown phone system for your entire enterprise standalone. Legacy phone systems. So if you're moving from Avaya, Cisco, Mitel, like all these older systems can be replaced with nVX, and we can modernize it, do a cloud-based phone system. Nothing gets deployed on premises, and fully a highly available and scalable solution for you. Education sector is another area where we have a lot of success with nVX, where people have, we have classroom phones, we have night bells, we have integrations, emergency calling, and then on the staff side, we have soft phone, desk phone type usage. nVX fits perfectly over there, and it can do accommodate all the call flows in the school systems without adding a ton of extra licensing or additional unwanted capability, really. So SMS is another one that a lot of schools are using for communications internally or externally with parents. So these are some of the business areas or client sectors that really fits well with nVX. But really, like I said, it's a standalone phone system, um, without any dependency on other platform or other licenses. So uh, if you are on an aging system, need to refresh, talk to us. All right, so now let's talk about the contact center side of the nVX. Like I mentioned earlier, we have one side which is unified communications, more of a regular user inbound outbound calling, IVR, hunt group, simultaneous ring, call recording, all that kind of stuff. Now we're going to talk about the customer engagement. So before we get into it, I just wanted to highlight, right? So if you envision NVX Cloud, it's got two sides, UCaaS and CCaaS. We can do both. We have done both for the clients, where maybe they have a customer service department that goes on to contact center side. The non-customer service department goes on the UC side, and we provide interoperability between both. They can see presence of each other. They can do extension dialing. All the callings between the UC side and the CC side is all internal calls for us. So no additional call charges for those kind of communications. And really, it's like single platform, right? You don't have to go integrate third party systems if, when you can consolidate everything, which could obviously also result into cost savings. So with that, let's talk about CCaaS. Well, first of all, why is it important to have a good CCaaS, right? And the big thing is customers' expectations. The customers' expectations oops, let me go back, have changed quite a bit. Now, client wants communication to be done on their own term. They want flexibility. They want ease of access. I want to be able to chat. I want to be able to text. I want to be able to email or use social media. No longer people only use call-in method to get customer service. So that's why a a a highly available modern contact center is a crucial element for clients who are providing customer service. Flexibility, multiple communication modalities, right? Like I said, customers choose what they want to use. You, as a provider, you need to make all these tools accessible to your clients so they can pick and choose what works best. Maybe I am on a call right now, but I need to go pick up my kids. I can talk. So I can switch my context from call to a text to a web chat, things like that. So context is the key. That's the next point. So giving agents the insight across different channels. So if I am calling a customer service, if an agent knows already who I am and my previous interactions and how were those interactions, what were the topics I called about previously, was I happy, was I not happy, all this context when it is presented to the agent and they greet the caller. Thank you for calling, John. I see you called us yesterday about XYZ. Looks like that issue was not resolved. Is this the same thing you're calling about? Now, all of a sudden, you are setting up that customer to be happy with the experience because you care, right? You have the context. They feel like you are heard and you're not just talking to a wall and you have to restart the conversation every time you're reaching customer service. So, big deal. And then from a business perspective, why does it matter from a business perspective? So we talked about customer experience. Now what's business? Obviously revenue boost. Happy customers will spend more. So we want to make sure they're happy. We It opens the doors to cross sell, upsell, and that goes into the next topic is a competitive differentiator. If I am a consumer, I'm trying to get a hold of somebody in customer care, and I have to call in every time and I'm not getting to a person quick enough or I'm not getting a resolution to my answers, I get frustrated and I will leave. I would go to another company who is listening to me, who has all these modalities, right? So the competitive differentiator, that's going to be key. If you have all this avenue for customer service, it's going to put you in that edge to be able to gain more client base. Customer loyalty, satisfaction, satisfied customers are more likely to return. And as well as they will talk about word of mouth, right? So you're going to get more business from satisfied customers. Reduce customer churn. Poor customer service is one of the top reasons why people switch vendors or they go to different companies. So if you have a better customer experience, that is going to end up resulting into a reduced churn. Actionable insight is the key. So as we are working with these different consumers, they're contacting support, providing actionable insight is huge. So what that means is, from a customer service perspective, customers' feedback, their transcription, sentiment analysis, things like that, areas of improvement. For me as a contact center provider, it's really important to make sure I have access to these data points where I can continuously improve, right? So that's going to be key as well from a provider. So why it matters from a consumer perspective, why it matters from a business development perspective, and why it matters, for you as a contact center provider, and having access to all this actionable insight is important. All right, so with that, let's take a look at just a high level of what nVX is. So nVX is part of, or nVX Contact Center is part of our overall nVX Cloud. It is a omni-channel contact center platform. It has AI intelligence built into it. It's got conversation designers, CRM integrations, remote friendly. It offers callback queuing, agent wallboard dashboard, supervisor dashboard, all the surveys, campaign dialer, call recording, um, call tracing, quality management, and a lot more. So that is a very quick overview of some of the key features that you have access to with the nVX Omnichannel Contact Center. And when we talk about omnichannel, right, like that, what does that really mean? So these are multimodal communication pipeline into a contact center. So, in short, it means you can have voice call, you can have SMS, you can have, social media, callback queuing, all these various modality. Web chat is how you are offering omni-channel experience to your clients. Let's dive a little bit more into it. So key highlights, what you need to look for in a contact center platform. Connect from anywhere. So this is kind of going back to the same multimodal point, engagement across voice, chat, SMS. So you're always where the customers are, right? Like that's going to be just the ease and flexibility of customer reach. Automating with intelligence. So AI is part of the contact center platform, as well as human element, right? So we have AI for providing context where it's applicable, making sure it doesn't hinder the customer experience, and we have agent for escalation when the time comes, right? It's got CRM integrations, keeping experiences personal, which is again going back to the context. Routing with precision, every customer to the right agent with the smart context, minimizing misroutes. That's another reason why customers get frustrated. Like, oh, you ended up in the wrong department. Let me go back and transfer. Now you're sitting in the hold again. So we won't want to minimize those misroutes and get them to the faster resolution. Engaging proactively. So real-time insights drive meaningful conversations. So we can review customer interactions look at the sentiment analysis, the calls get flagged, the supervisor can go back, maybe have a set of agents do a callback and reach out to those clients. Maybe they did not have a pleasant communications, or there was an outstanding thing that was not resolved. So just engaging proactively also makes your relationship really strong with the client. And monitoring, which is just, just a key contact center um, backbone, really. So, customer wait time, average call handling time, abandoned call time, average resolution time, all these key metrics are important. So making sure you have access to these dashboards in real time is also very critical for a contact center platform. Analyzing what matters, right? So tracking performance, sentiments, service metrics. We can do it a couple of ways. So we can do like a quality management where a supervisor is going in and checking into things, or we can leverage quality management with AI that kind of automates a lot of the scoring. And I have a couple of screenshots to show you on that. Identifying trends early. So if you have a customer, if you're getting calls for the same issue by a lot of different clients, these are trending pattern. Maybe there needs to be a product training or a training for the agents or something like that, right? So it can feed you the key data points which will help you to identify some of these trends to get in front of it before it becomes a bigger problem. Managing with confidence. So control provisioning workflows, multi-skilling agents. Like I said, we have a self-service portal part of this platform. However, we also have a 24/7 support desk that comes with it. Call recording is also important for contact center, and a lot of the quality management is based on that too. So making sure things are recorded, transcribed, you have the right feedback, you have the survey, the post-call survey, all those key data points are captured for review and getting the insight into the conversation. So with that, I think we have a couple of slides here to show that really walks us through some of the real product. So the first one we have is Conversation Designer. So these contact center platforms are complex, right? There's lots of moving pieces. It's hard to envision how things are working. What does the call flow look like? So part of the platform we have is Conversation Designer, making it easier for us to understand how are things really working. When somebody calls in, what are the trigger points? Am I collecting the right information? Am I collecting their account information? Am I running that account number against a database to pull the customer record, right? So it can put this visual context on your workflow, showcasing how your contact centers are currently functioning. And that helps just clients to make improvement, right? So it's easier to understand because no longer you have to just draw it out on a piece of paper or just go through it in your head every time. Now you have a visual context. And then it also it's like a light bulb moment, right? Like, okay, we can add another validation here, we can grab a data point here, we can do a data dip here, right? So the visual designer is really, really helpful, which is something we provide. And just to remind again, right, like as a consumer, client gets access to all this workflow. It is the same tooling that we would do on behalf of the client, and then they can view that as well inside of their tenant. Conversational insight. So this is going back to the recording transcription of it. So we leverage AI for some of this automatic, quality management and conversational insight. So here you can see we have a conversation that was recorded. We have an agent side of the conversation. We have the customer side of the conversation, and we can leverage AI with automatic labeling, right? So based on the tone, based on the words spoken, we can take this section of the calls with appropriate color code so that the supervisors can go and pick those calls and look at what's happening. Also on the right side here is we have a quick conversation summary, just a quick snapshot of what the conversation was all about for again supervisors to have a quick glimpse at it and get a picture of what this call was all about. As a supervisor, they can also go ahead and manually override some of this detection detection. So I can go and mark the call compliant or everything was fine, or maybe make it like, okay, this was not fine. Now we need to flag it and have a conversation with the agent. Maybe there is a training opportunity or something like that. So there is always an override capability available. Um, but it gives you like the full insight into the conversational insight. Then we have proactive campaign. So this is one of those areas where we can do a campaign outreach. These are timely, targeted, tailored to customer need. Right. So whether we want to do a follow-up type campaign, like, hey, we all these clients who called us last week, maybe 2 weeks later, let's reach out to them as a follow-up. Or if you want to do a bigger just outreach to a list of contacts in general, right? So we can customize, and these campaigns can be configured in like various different fashion. There is a predictive dialer type capability where the agents will get connected after the call is answered by the client, or we can put an IVR in the middle to kind of help when a client answers, give them the opportunity to make some selections before the agent is contacted with some context, right? So there's a different kind of proactive campaign we can run part of this platform as well. And as you can see in the screenshot, it's in this example, it's pulling up this client's history, right? So when I'm calling, I've got some customer information, I've got customer loyalty number, what is their card status type, so I can make those educated discussions with the client, making the conversation more personalized. Flexible integration. So most of the contact centers have to work with different platform. Whether it's your customer records management, your ITSM tools, things like that, and nVX is no different. We do have integrations with all the top CRMs. We are always adding more and more in here. If there is any other platform that you may be currently using that has standard API support or has doors to kind of integrate nVX, we can do that. It'll require some communication with the other vendor just to understand what the capabilities are, what the client requirements are. But again, this being nVX Netrix's own platform, we have that level of customizations and integrations that we can do for our clients pretty easily. All right. The next one we have is quality management. So this is one of the dashboards for quality management. So this is primarily for supervisors where they can come in, they can see the overall health of the environment, by different cues, by CSAT scores, by NPS scores, see what agents are top performance, what agents are not so top performers, what are the customer service are like, 1 through 5 rating, how many stars are we getting. By the way, those post-call surveys can also be customized. So we can do, a rating-based customer survey, 1 through 5, or we can do specific questions we can ask and collect the responses. And all that feedback gets pushed into this quality management, giving the supervisors a full picture of how things are working so they can improve where needed, right? So this is also very, very customizable. So it can be customized to whatever widgets we want to look at when they log into the CSAT dashboard or the quality management dashboard. Or if there is any specific data points that the client may be looking for, we can easily bring it to the forefront as a part of the dashboard. And this is just one of many dashboards available. There is just too many of them out there. And this is a real-time monitoring. So if you want to see, so the smaller picture here on the left side has all the real time. So I've got all my queues over here. I can see real time how many queues, are active, how many calls are waiting in the queue. I can go and pick a call if I need to. I can go and assign a call if I see a free agent available. I can cherry pick a call. I can put the agents in and out of the queue as needed. So I've got like a lot of control. I can do barge, whisper, monitor, all those kind of things, giving you that full picture of the health environment of your contact center. On the right here is a bigger dashboard showing your customer scores, how many calls came in, how many calls handled, average talk time, peak talk time, abandoned calls, things like that. We can easily export the abandoned calls and then have somebody do outreach, right? So none of those conversations are lost. We have information we can provide, and then at the bottom here, we also have queue performance. What queue is performing the most? What queue is not performing so well? Maybe we need to have agent multi-skilled so they can take calls from multiple queues. And that's like a whole different topic where we can talk about agent selection. We can do skill-based routing. We can do preferred agent routing. So if somebody talked to agent A yesterday and the caller calls back again, if the agent A is available, the call will go to him, right? So more of a context-aware call routing as well. So just wanted to highlight a couple of screenshots here. It's got a ton more data to provide. So please reach out if you have any specific needs, and we can most likely accommodate that. All right, that brings me to a case study. I have one case study over here, which was pretty exciting for us to work with this client. It was a large enterprise retail client that we worked with. They had over 1,000 retail stores all over the U.S. They have corporate offices, a handful of them where they had, obviously corporate users. They had a very old legacy phone system on premises, aging. The hardware was going end of life. Um, the support was expiring. They wanted to reduce on premises infrastructure footprint, go to more of a cloud hosted model, and get some additional capabilities that they did not have before, not just from a retail side, but even from a corporate side. On the retail side, we had the retail operations, lots of stores running their own queues. They had store manager, users in the store. There was also a contact center layer for the retail side to take those customer inquiries, provide customer service. And the corporate users were more of a standard users making inbound, outbound calling. They had few queues for like accounting, finance, stuff like that, but nothing too crazy on the corporate side. So in this case study, what we did is we moved them from legacy system to a combined of three solutions really. So we put the corporate users on Microsoft Teams because they were a big Microsoft shop and Microsoft Teams was already adopted by corporate users. So it made sense to kind of use that same known tool and make that their enterprise phone systems, which Netrix provided the direct routing service for them, right? So that became the corporate solution. On the retail side, we did the combination of nVX contact center and the UC side of it. So the retail stores, obviously, they don't need a full contact center solution. So we were able to put them on just the UC side of it. Bunch of phones ringing in like a call tree in a cascading call tree manner, depending upon what menu the caller is selecting, and then also do a failover. So we did develop a custom dashboard for this client to be able to move calls from, if a store one is closed for some reason, the client had the ability to go and toggle a switch and it will change the routing for store A and send it to store B with a custom greeting. So we empowered the client with, again, part of something that we could develop because this is our platform, be able to provide that custom self-service portal. The advanced analytics and reporting came on both sides, so the retail operations and the contact center side. The client has their own internal data team. They process the call flows, the logs, the average customer satisfaction time. There were also some staffing decisions made on those call volumes. So that was a really, really good information the client needed that we were able to provide with the advanced analytics. Over 9,000 physical phones deployed across all the retail locations. So just the scale of the device was amazing, right? So there is just lots of SIP phones connecting, giving the users, so like on the retail side, we had some users, the managers, the supervisors using the soft client, the retail phones itself were using SIP IP phones. Every store had a paging system as well, so we tied in paging natively with nVX, where people can call from the store phone and broadcast a page, and everybody in the store can hear the page. Dynamic E911 across the solution, not only the retail, but the contact center as well as the Microsoft Teams users. And because we were the provider for all three areas, all the calls between Teams and nVX and contact center were all internal calling for us, making it very, very efficient for call routing. Voicemail to email, pretty standard for all users. 24/7 service support was huge for this client because the environment was so complex. Um, and we were able to provide it as a managed solution was big for this client because they had a very obviously their business rely on the retail operations, so having us becoming their partner who is not only providing the cutting edge technology for voice as well as back it up with support, so they are always on. The retail operations are not affected, things like that. So that was a big, big win for us. And then lastly, it just made the whole environment pretty simple, right? Like we got rid of a lots of on-premises environment, infrastructure, support, hardware, power, cooling, reduced data center size, big savings. And now we have a modern voice solution that is completely managed and giving the new features and advanced capabilities to the client. So just lastly to wrap this up is, are you ready for what's next? So if you are somebody who is still using aging phone systems, maybe the hardware is going end of life or the support is no longer available, it's time. It's time to think about what's next. It's time to think about new features. Are your users happy, right? Like how do we keep our business cutting edge so we can not only be doing efficient communication but have a very productive and cheaper solution, right? Safety and compliance. Is your current environment even compliant, right? Like ask yourselves, if somebody called 911, how does that work? Do I have the routing go to the right public safety authorities? Do I have a mechanism to send notifications to other people in the company if somebody calls 911, right? These are some of the FCC guidelines that we have to follow if you have a VoIP system right now. So think about those things, and that's a risk, right? That's a compliance risk. That's a legal risk. It's just bad news. So just ask yourself if you have a compliance solution. Feature limitations. Are you keeping up with what others are doing in your industry? Do you offer the same capabilities, right? Like, are your users happy? Are your users able to use business lines, whether they are in the office, remote, traveling, things like that? Uh, you know, we don't want users to be mixing their personal communication from into your business communication. Maybe they're using their personal mobile numbers to contact and make business deals. That's not all corporate communications. So um, ask yourself, do you have all the features you need to conduct your business properly? And broken CX, customer service, that's huge. Are you providing the top-notch service, customer service to your consumers? Are they happy, right? Like, what is the customer churn? Do you have visibility on how your customer service is performing today? Like, are you collecting service? Do you have conversational insight, sentiment analysis, those kind of things? So, do you have all this? So, these are some of the things I wanted to highlight here. But, I think if you have any of this category resonates with you, I think it's time, right? So, with that, I'm gonna just leave a couple of takeaways here. We can help assess your current UC and CC. It doesn't have to be both. If you have one or the other or both, we can help perform assessment on how things are working. What are the gaps? We can do interviews with your stakeholders and collect their feedback on the wish list. Maybe they'll share with a third-party vendor who's conducting a survey focused on efficiencies and needs. We all oftentimes collect more information in those engagements. Understand your customer journey. If you have a customer experience department, are they are they getting what they want? Do they even know what are the other options available out there to ease their customer service? So we can help outline that picture for you. Business challenges and gaps, like what are the gaps? Again, this goes back into conducting interviews, talking to the right stakeholders, and really understand what are the gaps. And then we can go into designing cutting edge cloud contact center solution, consolidating some of the UCCC workloads into a singular platform that goes directly into cost savings. And then also, if you have third-party products in the environment, how do they fit with this cloud system, right? Like I mentioned earlier, with nVX, we have a lot of flexibility in terms of interoperating with other solution options or endpoints or devices. So we can provide that, not only the UC and CC consolidation, but also some of these ancillary devices that you may have, and wrap everything onto a single managed platform for you. And then from there, we can always do an nVX pilot. We do that all the time for our clients. If you really want to see how this works in your environment, use it. We can always talk about pilot. That is always available on the table. And then ongoing enhancements and support. So like I said earlier, nVX comes with a 24/7 managed support from Netrix. So you can be assured that you have a continuous support with the platform. No need to, be having a sleepless night on if my systems are going to work tomorrow morning, or I have busy season coming up. Am I scaled properly for it and whatnot? Like, all those headaches are gone. Like, we take care of all that for you, so you can just focus on what matters more to you. So with that, we're going to wrap this up. So please contact us if any of this is interesting, or if you want to learn more about. I'd be more than happy to connect with you, and then get you on this nVX journey. But other than that, thank you for joining today's session, and we will see you in the next one. Have a good day.